What if I told you that behind the headbanging riffs and electrifying stage shows, some of heavy metal's biggest stars were hiding dark secrets that had nothing to do with music? These weren't just wild nights or rowdy backstage antics. Some of them were accused of crimes so shocking they threatened to destroy everything they built. Here are 20 heavy metal stars who were accused of serious crimes, and the truth might change how you see them forever. 20. Marilyn Manson, Brian Warner. Marilyn Manson built his career on shock value, but his offstage behavior has cast a far darker shadow than his outrageous image ever did. Multiple women, including actress Evan Rachel Wood, came forward with allegations of sexual abuse, emotional manipulation, and physical assault. The lawsuits and public testimonies painted a disturbing picture of a man who thrived on control and cruelty. His career, once thriving on controversy, crumbled as record labels and agencies cut ties. Fans who once admired his artistic expression were left with disturbing revelations about what might have been happening behind closed doors. Instead of being remembered solely for his music, Manson became a symbol of how fame and power can be abused in the most destructive ways imaginable. 19. Varg Vikernes, Burzum, Mayhem. Varg Vikernes, best known for Burzum and his role in Mayhem, is one of the most infamous figures in metal. In 1993, he murdered bandmate Oystein Euronymous Erseth, stabbing him over 20 times. The act stunned the entire music world and was followed by his conviction for multiple church burnings across Norway. These crimes forever linked his name with violence and destruction. Vikernes spent years in prison before his release, after which he focused on writing and controversial political activities. While some still listen to his music, his reputation is eternally scarred by the brutality of his actions. Instead of being remembered as a pioneer of black metal, he remains known as the man who dragged the scene into infamy with bloodshed and fire. 18. Bård Guldvik, Faust, Ithun, Emperor. Faust, the drummer for Emperor, shocked fans when his secret crime came to light. In 1992, he stabbed and killed a man in Lillehammer after a night out. He admitted the crime and was sentenced to prison, leaving behind a reputation that became forever tied to violence. Despite serving his time, his return to music reignited debates over forgiveness and accountability within the black metal scene. The Emperor's reputation, already controversial due to their extreme themes, became further entangled with Faust's crime. His career never escaped the shadow of that night, and his name is often mentioned not for his drumming, but for the murder he committed. The chilling nature of his actions made him one of the most notorious musicians in Norwegian black metal history. 17. Jon Nödtveidt, Dissection. Jon Nödtveidt, frontman of Dissection, left behind both influential music and a disturbing criminal past. In 1997, he was convicted as an accessory to a brutal murder motivated by homophobia. After serving prison time, he attempted a comeback with new music infused with occult themes. His life, however, ended in 2006 when he died by suicide in an apparent ritual act. For many, his artistic contributions cannot be separated from the violence he was connected to. Dissection's music continues to resonate with fans of extreme metal, but Nödtveidt's personal choices have left a lasting stain on his legacy. His story is a reminder that brilliance and darkness can coexist within the same person, leaving behind a complicated history that can never truly be untangled. 16. Hendrik Möbus, Absurd. Hendrik Möbus, a member of the German black metal band Absurd, became infamous for his involvement in the murder of a 15-year-old boy, Sandro Bayer, in 1993. Alongside his bandmates, Möbus lured the teenager into a forest and killed him. Shockingly, even after his conviction, Möbus flaunted neo-Nazi imagery and mocked the crime publicly. His unapologetic behavior made him one of the most despised figures in metal. Can someone who openly glorifies murder and hatred ever be considered just a musician, or does their crime erase any shred of artistry? 15. Kurt Struebing, NME. Kurt Struebing, guitarist for the thrash band NME, committed a crime that shocked even hardened fans of heavy music. In 1986, at just 17 years old, he brutally stabbed and killed his adoptive mother during what was described as a psychotic breakdown. The murder was particularly horrifying because of the personal and intimate nature of the crime. He pleaded guilty and faced punishment, but the gruesome act followed him for the rest of his life. Even when attempting to pursue music again, the specter of the killing never faded. Struebing's story is less about musical achievement and more about the devastating consequences of mental instability combined with violence, leaving behind a chilling reminder that some crimes are too horrific to ever be forgotten. 14. Tim Lambesis, As I Lay Dying. Tim Lambesis shocked the Christian metalcore community when his double life came crashing down. Known for screaming about faith and redemption on stage, behind the scenes, he plotted something sinister. In 2013, he was arrested for attempting to hire a hitman to kill his wife. The sting operation revealed his chilling intentions, and he was convicted. After serving prison time, he returned to music, but the scandal left a scar that never healed. How does someone go from preaching faith through music to planning murder in real life? 13. Carl Logan, Manowar. Carl Logan, longtime guitarist for Manowar, faced a career-ending scandal in 2018 when he was arrested on child pornography charges. Authorities found disturbing material in his possession, and the evidence was so overwhelming that his future in music collapsed overnight. Manowar immediately cut ties with him, and fans recoiled in disgust. Logan, once admired for his contributions to a legendary heavy metal band, became a cautionary tale of how hidden lives can destroy everything. His conviction erased any chance of redemption within the industry, as few crimes provoke such universal condemnation. The scandal overshadowed his years of musical work and permanently damaged the reputation of a band that had prided itself on power and glory. 12. Jason Dagon, Weirbach, Inquisition. Jason Weirbach, better known as Dagon from Inquisition, shocked the underground black metal scene when reports surfaced about his involvement in child pornography. Court documents confirmed his conviction, and the revelation quickly destroyed his reputation. Inquisition, once respected for its raw and relentless sound, crumbled as fans abandoned them. Attempts to downplay the charges only added to the outrage, as the truth remained impossible to ignore. The case left a permanent mark on his career, demonstrating how, even in the darkest corners of extreme music, some actions are considered unforgivable. Instead of being remembered for his influence in underground black metal, Dagon became a name associated with disgrace and irreversible damage to the band's standing. 11. Gahal, Gorgoroth. Gahal, frontman of Gorgoroth, embodied the extreme, theatrical side of black metal, but his offstage life revealed a violent reality. In 2002, he was convicted of assault after allegedly torturing a man for hours. The case drew widespread attention, as Gahal had already cultivated a reputation for extremity and confrontation. His persona, often celebrated for pushing boundaries, became inseparable from the violence linked to his real-life actions. Despite this, he continued to have a career in music, with many fans still drawn to his charisma and artistry. The conviction, however, left an indelible mark, making his name a constant reminder of how the shocking imagery of black metal can sometimes reflect the disturbing truths of its performers. 10. Infernus, Gorgoroth. Another Gorgoroth member, Infernus, faced his own disturbing scandal. He was convicted of rape in Norway, a crime that added to the band's reputation for crossing every boundary imaginable. The dark aura surrounding Gorgoroth became more than just stage theatrics. It reflected real-life crimes that stained their legacy. Can a band built on shock value survive when its members' real actions are worse than their performances? 9. Randy Blythe, Lamb of God. Randy Blythe, vocalist for Lamb of God, faced a nightmare scenario in 2012 when he was arrested in the Czech Republic and charged with manslaughter. A fan had died after being pushed from the stage during a concert, sparking a legal battle that shook the metal community. Blythe spent over a month in jail before being released and later acquitted, with the court ruling the tragedy an accident. Though cleared of criminal intent, the incident haunted him and the band, serving as a grim reminder of the dangers of live performances. While he returned to touring, the shadow of that death lingered, forever tying his career to one of the most devastating accidents in modern heavy metal history. 8. Vince Neil Mötley Crüe. Vince Neil, frontman of Mötley Crüe, lived a life of excess that ultimately turned deadly. In 1984, he drove drunk and crashed his car, killing his friend Razzle, drummer of Hanoi Rocks, and severely injuring 2 others. Neil was convicted of vehicular manslaughter and served just a short jail sentence, a punishment many saw as too lenient given the loss of life. While Mötley Crüe continued to thrive, the tragedy never disappeared from Neil's story. The death of Razzle became a defining moment in both bands' histories, casting a shadow over the reckless glam metal lifestyle. Instead of being remembered only for his wild performances, Neil will always be linked to the devastating consequences of that fatal crash. 7. Tommy Lee Motley Crue. Tommy Lee, the band's notorious drummer, often made headlines for his outrageous antics, but his most serious scandal revealed a violent side. In the 1990s, he was convicted of spousal abuse after assaulting his then-wife, actress Pamela Anderson. The case shocked fans and showed a much darker reality behind the glamorous rock star image. Lee served jail time, but his celebrity status and larger-than-life personality kept him in the spotlight. Despite continuing his career in music and entertainment, the conviction remains one of the most troubling chapters in his life. It stands as a reminder that even the most charismatic performers can harbor violence, leaving scars that fame and success can never fully erase. 6. Nikki Sixx, Motley Crue. Nikki Sixx, bassist and primary songwriter for Motley Crue, was no stranger to trouble. While much of his reputation was tied to drug addiction and near-death overdoses, his history also included multiple arrests for assault and disorderly conduct. His violent outbursts, often fueled by substance abuse, cemented his reputation as one of rock's most dangerous figures. Over time, Sixx reinvented himself as a survivor, author, and radio personality. But those earlier arrests remain an undeniable part of his legacy. His story reflects both the destructive nature of fame and the possibility of reinvention. Yet, no matter how much he rebuilt himself, the darker chapters of his life continue to follow him, forever tied to his name and reputation. 5. Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses. Axl Rose became one of the most volatile frontmen in rock history, with a voice that defined a generation and a temper that often overshadowed it. Throughout the late 1980s and early 1990s, he was repeatedly arrested for assault, disorderly conduct, and incidents tied to riots at Guns N' Roses concerts. His confrontations with fans, the press, and even his own bandmates fueled his reputation as unpredictable and dangerous. While his talent was undeniable, his behavior often pushed the band into chaos, with tours plagued by violence and controversy. Rose eventually stepped back from his most destructive habits, but those explosive years remain an inseparable part of his career, forever linked to his name in the annals of rock. 4. Phil Rudd, AC/DC. Phil Rudd, longtime drummer of AC/DC, shocked fans in 2014 when he was arrested in New Zealand on charges that included attempting to procure murder. Although those charges were later dropped, he was convicted of drug possession and threatening to kill, crimes that tarnished his image. For a band known for its powerful energy and larger-than-life presence, this scandal was a jarring contrast to their decades of success. Rudd's struggles with drugs and erratic behavior highlighted the darker realities often hidden beneath rock stardom. While he returned to music after his legal troubles, his reputation never fully recovered, leaving his name forever marked by the shocking headlines that once dominated the world's attention. 3. Sid Vicious, Sex Pistols. Sid Vicious, though more closely tied to punk, remains one of rock's most infamous figures and is often connected with the heavy music scene. In 1978, he was charged with murdering his girlfriend, Nancy Spungen, who was found stabbed to death in their New York hotel room. Before the trial could conclude, Sid died of a heroin overdose, leaving the case unresolved and surrounded by speculation. The tragedy cemented his legacy not as a musician, but as a symbol of chaos and destruction. His short life became the ultimate cautionary tale of addiction, violence, and wasted potential, leaving behind a story that continues to haunt music history decades later. 2. Jeff "Rest" Whitehead Leviathan. Jeff Whitehead, better known as Rest from the one-man black metal project Leviathan, faced scandal in 2011 when he was accused of brutally assaulting his girlfriend. The case brought disturbing details to light and drew attention across the underground metal scene. Although he avoided the most serious charges, he was convicted of misdemeanor assault, a stain that would follow him for years. Leviathan's music, known for its dark and suffocating atmosphere, became forever linked to the violent accusations against its creator. While some fans continued to support his art, others distanced themselves completely. Whitehead's story shows how even underground musicians are not shielded from accountability when personal violence becomes public. 1. Jack Russell, Great White. Jack Russell, frontman of Great White, became associated with one of the worst tragedies in rock history. In 2003, a pyrotechnic display at a Great White Show caused a fire at the Station nightclub in Rhode Island, killing 100 people. While Russell wasn't criminally convicted, lawsuits and negligence claims followed him. Survivors and families never forgot the role the band played in the deadly disaster. Heavy metal has always pushed limits, but when fame turns into crime, the story gets darker than any song. Were these stars just misunderstood or guilty of more than we ever imagined? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because the next scandal will blow your mind.